Well, hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Wee Bit Feart Podcast. So this episode we cover sleep paralysis, scary dreams, nightmares, just general weird sleep experiences. So I talked to a few different people about this. I got some experiences from different people, and also talked about different kinds of aspects of sleep paralysis, why it occurs, why people keep seeing the same things, what types of sleep paralysis there are and that people experience. And after recording quite a few sessions, I decided to cut it down and just put in a couple that I felt were the most entertaining to listen to or to watch. Some like wee funny bits in there as well, because at the end of the day, it's supposed to be horror comedy. It's about horror subjects with a wee bit of funny, some wee giggles in there in between. So before interviewing people, I decided to do a wee bit of research myself. I have had experiences of it, but I didn't quite know why it happens or how many other people have it, or the different types, if they have names. So I did a wee bit of research on my own just before recording with people. So here's some wee facts and figures about sleep paralysis before we get started. So sleep paralysis has been recorded for thousands of years all over the world. It's been a sort of global phenomenon. So Canadian Eskimos believed that shamanic spells could paralyse and induce hallucinations. So the people back in the day, they thought it was mad spells and rituals that they'd be cursed. Obviously, we know now today, it's just your brain. Your brain's a wee bit mental, right? Your brain is mental. So in Japanese culture, they have a thing called kanashibari. Don't know how to pronounce it. I'm butchering it, and I apologise. But basically, it kind of translates to metal bind. So one of the types of sleep paralysis that you could experience is like incubus, or like a chest demon, or like something like you feel like your chest is being pressed on, or you're struggling to breathe, or you're being strangled. And in Japanese culture from years and years ago, they called it the kanashibaru, or the metal bind. So in the past, they would talk about these like shapeless creatures, intruders and ghosts. And in today, kind of like the modern society, you'll maybe have people talking about alien abductions. People that believe, like when they've went to sleep and they believe that during the night they've been abducted by aliens. But I believe that this could just be an effect of sleep paralysis, and that's why people, they don't quite know what's going on. They maybe hear or see some things, and they can't move. They're paralysed, and maybe they've been watching some alien films, and they believe that they've been abducted by aliens, but they've no, you know what I mean? They're not here. They might be here. Might have to do an episode on the aliens. Who knows? So nearly 1 in 10 people will experience sleep paralysis in their life. Now, I know out of my friends there has been a good few, and then obviously I reached out to some people in the kind of group that I'm in on Discord, and quite a few of them reached out to me as well. So it is quite common. Maybe you've had it yourself and you just thought it was a really bad dream and you don't really want to talk to anybody about it, but I guarantee some of your friends, maybe even your family, have experienced it as well. The main kind of causes of sleep paralysis can be psychiatric issues. It can also be hereditary. So some people in your family maybe actually mothers and fathers, your grandparents, maybe they've had it too, and you can share your experiences. But also it can just happen through sleep disorders. If you're really struggling with sleep, lack of sleep, you're staying up all night, maybe you're stressed out, you've got a bit of anxiety, you finally get to sleep and then you have sleep paralysis. It can be a range of things that happen. So most people will have heard of REM sleep, or rapid eye movement. And this is where your eyes will still be moving and your brain is working and your brain is creating these dreams, but the rest of your body is kind of shut off. Your organs and stuff obviously still work because they're just automatically linked to your brain to keep going. But when you fall asleep, you go into REM sleep, your body goes paralysed, but your brain and your eyes keep moving. And this is usually when sleep paralysis can occur, because your brain will wake up, your eyes will be there, you'll be looking around, your body hasn't quite synced up yet with your brain, and so your body's still sleeping basically, but your brain and your eyes are awake. But because of that kind of stress of being like waking up but not being able to move, you'll kind of automatically start to panic a wee bit, and because you've just came out of that kind of dream state, you can then hallucinate, and that's when people see some strange things, as we'll soon find out. So there's 3 main common types of sleep paralysis experiences, one of which is the incubus, or the chest demon. So you may have seen some pictures or paintings from back in the past, where you'll have people lying on the bed and a wee sort of demon or little creature will be sitting on the chest or holding their neck, and that's your chest demon, that's incubus. So people, sometimes they don't see anything, they'll just wake up and they're paralysed and they feel like they can't breathe. That's your incubus. You can have the intruder as well. So intruder might just be that you think you see someone in the room with you. You think there's someone there at your end of your bed or in the corner of your room. Obviously there isn't someone there, but because you're in that kind of panic state, dream state, you're paralysed, you can't move, and you maybe hear a noise and your brain triggers it, there must be somebody else there with you, and it's like an intruder. One of the other kind of types of sleep paralysis that there is, vestibular motor hallucinations, and this can be your out of body experiences, or it might be a feeling of levitation. It's like a disconnect from your body, and that's why this is the kind of one that I believe is why people think they've been abducted by aliens in the middle of the night, or they've had aliens probing them or something. Because if you kind of wake up for that, you're paralysed, you can't move, and you also feel like you're being levitated or being moved around, then that's kind of common in stories that you hear from alien abductions, and I believe that it is just sleep paralysis, which is quite unlucky for some people, because I know a lot of people love aliens. So sorry, no aliens, just sleep paralysis. That's just my personal opinion. I'm no scientist, I'm no professional. I just did a quick Google, quick YouTube. Wasn't hard to find out. One of the issues that can cause sleep paralysis is drinking too much alcohol and lack of sleep. Now, that's a common thing in Scotland. A lot of places actually, and especially with this the lockdown and the pandemic that we're having. People are maybe they're not working as much, or they're very stressed because of what's going on in the world, so they might be having too much to drink, they're not sleeping enough, they're not sleeping the proper hours that they should, and then they're experiencing sleep paralysis or night terrors. Teens and young adults, and any kind of adults, experience this the most. What I found is with kids, it's mostly just nightmares that they'll have, but as you kind of get older, you become a teenager and then adult, obviously the chemistry in your brain and stuff starts to change. That's when you kind of make that change from having nightmares to then having sleep paralysis, which is kind of even more scarier, because when you're a kid, it's like oh, it's just a nightmare, you can push it off. But when you're a fucking adult and your brain, you know what you should be seeing, and you wake up and you have sleep paralysis and you think there's somebody in your house, that's fucking terrifying. So it's not good. So a lot of people will say, I think I've had sleep paralysis, I think I've had that. The thing is, you will know that you've had it because you will remember it, because you are awake during this. Like, your brain has woken up but your body hasn't, which is different from, like, if you're having a nightmare or night terror, then you're in the dream state still, you're still dreaming, and like with most dreams, when you wake up, by the end of the day you're forgotten about your dream, unless it's been something really silly or stupid or funny. But for sleep paralysis, your brain is awake, you are technically awake, so you should remember this, and if you dare remember it and you remember it in good detail, then you've probably had sleep paralysis. Well, anyway, that's enough of me talking. Let's get into the interviews. I'm going to join by a couple of my friends for this episode, so I hope you enjoy it. So I'm joined now by Andy Rainbowfish, who is a fellow member of the Haunted House Discord and a Twitch streamer who usually streams horror games just like myself. So Andy has experienced sleep paralysis and has told me a wee bit about it before in the past, so I thought we would get her on for this episode and ask some questions. So
sounds good.
How are you doing? How's yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing alright today. I'm excited to talk about some of the weird experiences I've had with sleep paralysis and a couple of other things as well. So yeah.
Had any recent experiences?
I mean, kind of. I mean, my main thing at the moment has been lack of sleep, so I haven't actually had as much as I usually do. I do sometimes get it during the night, so sometimes I get it as I'm going to sleep, and then it kind of goes away as I eventually like get into deep sleep. But most recently, I think I had it was about 5 or 6 days ago, and I kind of like woke up, and it was like between the transition of waking up and going back to sleep, I had experience of it, but my eyes were closed, so which happens to me quite a fair bit actually. I get sleep paralysis, but my eyes aren't actually open, so you don't necessarily get like the hallucinations and stuff, but like sometimes you think you hear things, you get like the old weight on the chest and stuff, and you literally sleep paralysis, paralyzed, can't move. But I don't get it as much as I used to.
Cool. Well, the first question was going to be how often do you experience it? So I suppose just not as much as normal then.
Yeah, I mean, I used to get it. It was really bad at uni and high school. It wasn't great. I'd get it like almost regularly every night, if not fully fledged sleep paralysis, then just the whole experience of like waking up, not being able to move, and then eventually going back to sleep again.
That's crazy. I didn't have my first experience till like I was 25 maybe.
I don't quote me because I don't know if it's true, but I have a feeling it might be slightly more common in women. I have a feeling, don't quote me, but I seem to remember reading it somewhere it's more common to start earlier in women, I believe is what it was, but don't quote me on that. But like, it's always just kind of been a part of like, I don't have a particularly healthy relationship with sleep. I either can't sleep, or if I do sleep, it's either something like that. So it's just always kind of been something that's been like there, but in a kind of twisted way. Sleep paralysis, you can have some weird benefits in terms of having like interesting experiences that you can use for like ideas for writing, or like ideas for all kinds of stuff. Like lots of people who have had either sleep paralysis or night terrors have ended up using that like in their creative work. So there is a twisted upside to it, but actually like when you're experiencing it, it's not the funnest, but it's an interesting thing to talk about, especially when you find out how many people have experienced, or if not the same thing, then very similar things, which is interesting.
Yep. It's strange that, because it's like I didn't really know about it either. Like, I had watched movies in the past where that stuff happened, but I just kind of assumed that was just for the movie. Like, and it wasn't until one of my friends told me about his experience, and then some other friends said about it, and then I had it like not long after that, and then obviously I think I said it one day on stream or something, and then like there was a bunch of yous for the Discord said you had it as well. I was like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah, that's definitely a weird thing about it. How many people have shared experiences and also similar images? Well, that is particularly weird.
Yep.
But it's so interesting as well.
What were we talking about before?
We were just talking through kind of like, well, I was kind of listing off some of the experiences that I've had and stuff like that. And kind of like how it's strange, how the similarities that some people have. Another thing that I'd mentioned, you kind of touched on it before, the transition from wakefulness to being asleep. There's a thing which I experienced probably actually a bit more than sleep paralysis, and I want to make sure I say this correctly because I tried saying it earlier. It's called hypnagogia, and that is when you see actual hallucinations. It can be tied to sleep paralysis, but they're technically different kind of disorders. That's when you like see faces, and sometimes it can be sound, but for me personally it's more visual. But like I've been just literally drifting off to sleep, and then I've just seen like a face right there, but I'm not paralyzed, so it's not sleep paralysis, I'm awake. But because I'm starting to transition into that, into sleep, my brain is starting to project things like you would in a dream. So that is scary. Like, I've literally thrown pillows like at shit, thinking there was like a face or like someone in the room with me. So that's weird.
That's so I've never I'm sort of researching this. I didn't like hear anything about that or see anything about that. But now that you've said that, I have myself have had stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes hallucination, like I can see it. Sometimes it's just been like audible hallucinations.
Yeah.
And some of them have been more terrifying than the actual sleep paralysis thing because you still think you're awake.
Yeah.
Like you're just it's not like with sleep paralysis. It's like you've just woken up and so you're hearing it, and so you kind of should know that you're doing it. Like I don't know. That's cool. I'll probably look into that as well because I've had that quite a few times. I thought that was due to other things though, but that's cool to know.
It does tie. It ties into like quite a few things, and like you kind of got to see it as an umbrella, and like everything's kind of linked. But they all kind of come underneath their own spectrum, and there's other things that can bring it on. For example, like alcohol, in terms of mental health, how much sleep you've had, even as simple as like how lit your room is, how warm the room is. Temperature has a big effect on whether you have sleep paralysis or hypnagogia or something like that. You're more likely to have sleep paralysis or night terrors if your room is very hot. So, for example, the phrase fever dream comes from literally having like fucked up dreams and sleep paralysis when you have a fever because your body temperature is higher than it should be.
Yep.
And that kind of messes with your head and your brain a bit.
Yep. One of the big things what I like to know is, do you have the same experience every time?
The most common experience I have is me getting sleep paralysis, but my eyes are closed, which is kind of a blessing in disguise because the sleep paralysis when your eyes open is probably scarier. Usually it's always something, or the feeling of like something heavy on my chest, and hearing things. I don't know if it, and I'm also very, when I'm dreaming or when I'm I'm dreaming or whatever, like I'm very sensitive to touch, like in my dreams. So like if I feel like something is crawling on me, it really, like in a dream, it really feels like that. So if I get sleep paralysis and I have that kind of feeling, like I get the feeling of like something crawling on me. But when your eyes are closed, is pretty fucking terrifying. And also, I have quite an overactive imagination anyway. So if I try and avoid it when I have sleep paralysis, I try and make myself as aware as I can that, okay, this is something you just have to wait till it's gone, because otherwise my mind will kick off and start like conjuring images in my head, like, oh god, you can't move, is there something in the room, blah blah blah, and you build up and make it worse, if that makes any sense. I've had some when I was young, actually. When I first started getting sleep paralysis, I think I was about I was quite young. I must have been about 12 or 13. One regular thing that I used to get, if it was either sleep paralysis or just hypnagogia, so I wasn't paralyzed, was in my old room I used to see a bus going, because I used to have my door open because I was a freak when I was younger. I used to sleep with my door open. There'd be like a bus going by my room, and it was like weirdly terrifying, just having like a full double-decker bus just like full like 100 miles per hour just zoom past my room. Really weird.
What, inside your house?
Yeah, inside my house. Yeah, because I live in, my house is like a bungalow, so it's like all one level, but we have a long hallway, and where my room used to be, basically like the other side of the house, there's like a corner that turns. So like I just see this bus going past my room and round the corner, and I used to get that a lot. I sleep with my door closed like a regular human being now, so I don't tend to get that anymore. But when I was young, that used to be one of the first things. And also another thing that I used to get, which I don't get as much as anymore, is just this, which is a little bit more on the horror side, is a woman with like freakishly long arms just like storming into my room and storming out again. Like, she wouldn't touch me or do anything like that. She would just storm in. She'd be freakishly tall. Kind of, I couldn't always make out her face, but when I did see it, it was kind of distorted. But I just remember she had really long arms. She'd just storm in and storm out. And it used to just like, I remember my heart going like 1,000,000 miles per hour, but just being like frozen and just like staring.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's really fucking terrifying, man.
You'll need to do another episode just dedicated to like the fucking weird ass dreams, because I've had some weird ass scary dreams that aren't even linked to sleep paralysis that I could just go on for hours about. But yeah.
Well, see, like when you say about like that woman thing, like when I was doing a bit of research as well, like I listened to some other stories, just for random people, and some of them were talking about how they would see like a woman in the room thinking that it was like their mum or something.
Yeah.
And then realising that it wasn't, and as soon as they kind of realised it, it would like just like jump at them or like start like doing something. And it's like, I feel like that would be really terrifying, to think that it was somebody who you feel safe with, and then when you realise it's not somebody from your family or somebody you know, and it's some weird other entity, then that would just be fucking terrifying.
Yeah, it would be terrifying. I've had it with friends. I remember I've had like, people that I knew from my past, so either people from school, like I'd see them and then it would kind of turn into like some kind of like grudge lady, or like some kind of like messed up version of that person.
Yeah.
So yeah, fun.
Fun. You got any other weird dream stories just before we move on to the next question that you remember?
I mean, we'll be here all night if you want to hear any. I'm trying to think of one that's specific to sleep paralysis, because some of them, I'll touch a bit on the alien one, like the one when you come out of your body, because that's one I've had rarely, but I have had it before.
Okay.
Where it was I'm currently back at home, my parents' house, but when I was just out of uni in different housing, I was having sleep paralysis, and then I'm guessing I must have fallen asleep, but I literally was like, came out of my body and was kind of like floating, and then kind of just went down the hallway and then back again. And I know now that I must have been like experiencing sleep paralysis, and then I was dreaming, but I honestly felt that I had like discovered a way of like, what's it called? I don't know what they talk about it in Insidious. Like when you literally travel, like it's your other self that you can travel in, like when you have dreams and
like
stuff.
in the astral plane.
Yeah, like astral projection. I was like, I finally experienced astral projection. I mean, obviously, I must have fallen asleep, and it was something my brain conjured up because I was experiencing paralysis before. But it was that wasn't as scary, but more kind of freaky, like more kind of like, oh my god, I can't believe that just happened, and it felt very real. Like I honestly felt that I'd come out of my body and then traveled a little bit down the hallway and then went. And what was weirder is that I felt like I was suddenly sucked back into my body. Like I went from being very gentle to all of a sudden, like, that experience when you get thudded awake.
Yep.
That's what it felt like, except rather than waking up, I fell like asleep, almost like I'd been knocked out or something. So that was weird. But I think I have experienced like pretty much all the types of sleep paralysis. Not, it's a weird thing to brag about, but I think I have experienced like all the types of sleep paralysis that you can.
Yeah. I would say, like, I was gonna say that's cool, but obviously, like, it's a not fun. Cool.
It's a weird like it's cool to talk about, but like experiencing it is very weird. And also, like, touching on what I said before, it can be linked to things like mental health, even just stress. Like if you've had a stressful day, you might not necessarily be dealing with anything mental health wise. You might have just had a long day or stressful day. Stuff like that can affect it. And sometimes in your subconscious, maybe you're stressed about something that's not in like the front of your mind, but it's kind of like going on in the background. That can cause like sleep paralysis or hypnagogia or things like that.
Yep.
So yeah, the brain is just a mess. So the brain's gonna do what the brain's gonna do, basically.
Probably one of my favourite questions to ask people is, what was your scariest experience?
God. I mean, anything. I mean, one that happened probably about a month or so back. I don't know if it's my full-on scariest, because some of them I've literally blocked out. Was one of the hypnagogia ones when there was literally like a face right by my bed, because I wasn't expecting it. I didn't like. Usually, I can kind of look back and understand why that happened, because maybe I like was struggling to sleep or stressed or whatever, but this literally came out of nowhere. It was just a fully clear as day, clear as you can see me now, face just right like there by my bed, and to the point where I literally grabbed my pillow, threw it at the wall, and was like, I went into fight or flight mode, and I was ready to like, I mean, I don't know what I would have done against a demon if there was a demon there, but I'm ready to like attack. Like that instinct came in. And then the come down from that, when you realize it was like a dream, like your heart is going like so fast.
Yep.
But other than that, scariest, the woman with the long arms definitely freaked me out a lot as a kid. There is one which I imagine you'll want to talk about in a bit, which is the regards to a certain someone with a black hat.
Yep.
I've had some experiences with that gentleman which have been pretty horrific. But yeah, I mean, yeah, those ones.
Well, let's talk about him now then. Let's just get into it.
I'm scared to mention him. But yeah, I can just talk about it, my general experience with it, because he hasn't always been. I know for some reason I connect it to the same person, but I've always kind of had like a recurring dream of some kind of shadow man, or like a guy who's like in my house who is always being there. I can't always see him. He's usually in shadow. Who's like, sometimes it's in like more so when I was younger, in my full-on nightmares, and he's just like grabbed me and pulled me into the darkness. But more commonly now, when he does pop up, it's at either the end of my bed or like in the corner of my room, like high corners, like in the ceiling and stuff like that.
Yep.
And he doesn't tend to do much. He's just kind of there, like this ominous figure, and just like always either just a silhouette of a man or a silhouette of a man with a black hat, and it's just, yeah, you kind of the terror that you feel when you see something like that, because it's like it feels so real, like scarily real. And like even if you're aware, like, oh, it's this guy again, he showed up to freak me out, you can't help but be scared. And like I've watched YouTube videos on like lucid dreaming and like how to get out of sleep paralysis, how to kind of wait for these things to pass. So I've kind of like, I felt like I'm kind of somewhat well trained in my brain to deal with these things. But whenever he shows up, all of that goes out the window, because it's just like, oh god, not this guy again.
Yeah.
Like sometimes he's reached out to me, but he's never gotten closer than, I don't know, like at the end of my bed. Like he's never gotten closer than that, but he doesn't need to, because it just scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, it's strange how so many people keep seeing the same thing.
Yeah.
And describing it like in a similar way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't experienced it. I do. Like I do want to experience it, but I know that it will be terrifying, and that it might not be a good thing. But I don't know. I think to see it myself would
it'll be
clear things up.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be one of those things now that you kind of know what it is, like, you'll recognize it, but once you do, you'll wish you hadn't, because it's not fun.
See, one of the things for me was like when I first heard about it and heard people talking about it was I instantly thought about The Undertaker from like old school WWF. And like, so I was just kind of like, well, I would just associate it with that.
Yeah.
And so that's not as scary for me. So maybe I just wouldn't see it then, because I'm not actually that scared. I feel like you see things more that you're afraid of.
Yeah.
Than the things that you feel comfortable with, you know what I mean? So.
For sure. I mean, the one that kind of took his place for a while was the Ring, kind of mixed in with The Grudge as well. Just that idea of a tall, but again, it's kind of similar. It's a tall woman with long black hair. That kind of took his place for a while.
See, that would be more terrifying for me. I think that would be a lot more terrifying for me.
Oh, can I tell you a story about, it's not sleep paralysis, but it is a dream that it kind of is, but it's like a 3-layered dream that I had, which scares me. It's probably one of the scariest dreams I've had, because it was like, it isn't over yet. So it was when I first tried to play Evil Within, which was when kind of around about a year after it first came out. So we're looking 2016, which is my second year of uni, I think. And I'm back at home for like Christmas holidays or something. And of course, within that game, there's the Spider Lady, which is the character Laura reincarnated, which is the sister of the antagonist. Yep. And she's long arms, basically Grudge with giant arms and stuff. That really freaked me out. And I remember I had a dream, and it was kind of your standard nightmare. I kind of went into a room similar to where you first see her, and she comes out like of this pool of blood, and she's like screaming, and these arms going everywhere. Yep. And I run away, and then I think I've woken up. But obviously I'm not awake, because I've woken up in a nursery or something. There's like little kids around. It's kind of like I'm like a teacher there or something, or babysitting or something. Right. And then there's like a lift, and I hear it ding as if like it's just got to the floor, and the doors open, and I just hear like her breath just going like the noise that she makes. Yeah. And I just see this hair like coming out in these arms, and I'm like, shit, somehow she followed me here. And then I go into another like wake up as if I'm at college, back in like the library, like where I used to like do work and stuff. And like I'm at a computer, and I'm like typing an essay or something. And I keep getting a message, like dinging, dinging, dinging. And when you see writing and it doesn't always make sense in the dreams, but I kept making out a phrase like, she's coming. and then I can hear like in the distance behind me like a noise, and it's her. Like I just know she's coming. I'm like trying to force myself to wake up, like it's just a dream. I'm like closing my eyes. I'm like trying to like hit myself awake and stuff. And I wake up and I'm in my bed, and I'm like, oh, like finally it's over. And I grab my DS and I start playing on that just to kind of distract myself. And then I realized, like, hang on, I haven't played my DS in ages. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, I sold it or something. And then, no joke, I noticed the curtain next to me starts to lift up, like this, and I, like, pull it down. And then it keeps doing it, like, it keeps lifting up, and, like, I keep pulling it down, and it starts doing it to the point where the whole curtain thing is moving. I literally, like, jump and roll out of bed till I'm, like, right by my door, like, pushed up against the door like that. And before you know it, the whole curtain is, like, opening, and like these arms and this hair is coming out, and then I literally fall back through my door, and then I wake up like properly. Like that's the end of the dream. But yeah, that's like the most intense dream that I've had. It was like a 4-layer Inception dream of this just one thing chasing me. And I didn't sleep for like 2 days after that. But yeah,
that's like the kind of dreams are terrifying. Like,
yeah.
I have them a lot.
Like layered dreams.
So it'll either be like layered dreams, or I'll start to dream about something that's like terrifying that, and I'll wake up, and I'll go back to sleep, and I'm straight back in it again.
Yeah,
and it's
I
like,
hate that.
I
hate that so
I'll
much.
wake up and like, so I always have like my pipe by my bed, just so like for when I wake up and that I can just smoke it and that. And like I'll wake up sometimes and I'll sit there for like a good 5 minutes just smoking away at the vape, and then I'll go back to sleep and I'll still go back into that same fucking thing, and it's just like,
it's the fucking worst.
What do you do? Because it's like you need to sleep, but you know that every time you go back to sleep you're just going back into that
you're gonna
fucking
go
thing.
right.
So
I've had that too. It's the worst. Like apparently a good thing to do is to like walk around a bit, or like have a drink of water or something like that. Like apparently that is supposed to like kind of get you out of the cycle. But yeah, it's fucked up when you keep waking up and you're like from a nightmare, and then you go back and you're right back in it. Like those are the worst.
It never happens with the good dreams either. Like it's,
no,
you never,
like
every time you have a good dream and you wake up, you're like, no, I want to go back, and then it's like, nah.
And you go back and it's like not quite the same, and it's like you're trying to recreate it, and it's like, no, this is like the shit version of what was like happening. I've had that so many times. It's so annoying.
So many ruined sex dreams.
Oh yeah, so many. It's just like, God, for God's sake. I remember like, who was it at the time? Oh gosh. Oh god, I think it was David Tennant. Yeah, because it was Doctor Who. He was Doctor
Thank
Who.
God, I thought you guys start talking about fucking ex-boyfriends or something. There, I'm like,
no. I know. I'm pretty. No, it was David Tennant because it was Doctor Who at the time, and it wasn't even a sex dream. It was kind of more of a like romantic dream. But I don't know. It was just really cool, and it was fun because he was like the Doctor and stuff. And I wake up like just for no reason. There's nothing scary happened or exciting happened. Just woke up. And I was like, oh, I want to go back. That was really fun. And I go back, and it's like, it's not quite him, and it's like not quite the same. And it's just like, because your mind, you're trying to force yourself to recreate it. But the more you force things in dreams, the weirder they are, or the less likely they're going to happen. Yeah. Lucid dreaming is hard. Takes practice.
Yeah, I spoke about it that way. Somebody else as well. Like, I don't know, I as soon as I realise that I'm dreaming, I tend to just wake up. I can never like stay in it. Yeah,
because you get excited. It's your, gets your blood racing, and then that forces you awake.
Like my dreams have got like more intense since I've been like sober and stuff. No, like before I wouldn't dream at all, just because there's probably loads of other chemicals in my brain that were fucking working as they didn't know the dream chemicals. So ever since then, my dreams I get intense, and then like sometimes like I've got like I take something else, like you take just the normal stuff like multivitamins and that, but then I have like serotonin stuff as well. Yeah. And so like take that, and that kind of fucking makes the brain go into overdrive sometimes, man.
Yeah. Have you had valerian root before?
No, I don't
It's
trust any of that shit that's like a
no,
natural
no,
fucking
it's
thing.
completely natural. It's good for like taking like the edge off anxiety, but you can use it to like help sleep, promote deep sleep. Like I've started taking it again recently, but the first time I took it, because it really helps with REM sleep, which is obviously the dream stage, rapid eye movement. And the first time I had it, Jesus Christ, some weird ass deep dreams that like
Yeah.
I couldn't. They just kept going. They were long as well, and they weren't. They were continuous. Usually with dreams, they kind of jump and jump and jump, and there's no like you don't realize how jumpy dreams are. But with this,
Yeah.
there was one clear, and I was like one clear thing, and it was really like it was cool, but it was like intense. But now that I've got a bit more used to them, it's not that bad.
I like I try to like avoid staying away from ones that affect that because I sleep in quite a lot. I'm known for just sleeping in a wee bit too late. So I'm scared that if I take stuff to help with sleeping, I'm just never going to wake up and just sleep
No,
through it
that's
and
fair.
fucking work. So I just try to avoid that kind of stuff.
No.
So the only thing it does affect me is that kind of serotonin, which was it was like just a side effect that happened to work with dreams, and I was like, alright, cool, fair enough.
Sweet.
See how like before you spoke about the what was it, hypnagogia?
Hypnagogia, yeah.
Right, so at one point I couldn't sleep. I was having trouble sleeping as well, and so I decided to take sleep tablets. I'd never tried them before in my life, and I started taking them just as normal, like as you should. And for a couple of days it was fine, but it kind of made me feel shit in the morning and that. And
right,
there was this one Christmas, and I was so fucked. Like I had like the like no drunk, but like by the flu sort of thing. So like, I missed everything. I missed like Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, everything. Like I was in bed for like 3 days, like so fucking dying. But I was dying with the flu, and I just kept on taking like sleep tablets every time I woke up. So like I was just constantly sleeping for like 3 days. But then at some point, they obviously just stopped working because I was waking up 2 hours taking a tablet, waking up a couple hours later taking another tablet, and then that shit started to kick in for me, that hypnagogia stuff, because it was like I would be like, I would just be about to sleep, and then I would hear somebody like shouting in my ear, or like I would hear like screaming or something, and I'll be like, what the fuck? But it was like obviously nothing. It was just my fucking brain playing games on me, man. And like ever since then, I've never took a sleeping tablet again because it fucked me up, man. Like for 3 days, I was fucked. I was like seeing things, I was hearing things, and I was just like, nah, I fucking avoid. Just avoid sleeping stuff now.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. Like, particularly after an experience like that, I don't blame you.
Do you have like a routine or a solution to get yourself out of it?
To get myself out of it, yeah. I thought you meant it as in a routine to go to sleep. I was like, no. What's a sleep schedule? In terms of like the sleep paralysis, it sounds really kind of basic, but literally just deep breaths and accepting that it's happening and just letting it happen and trying not to like overthink it, because all sleep paralysis really is a transition from different stages of sleep. That's all it is, and the brain is just doesn't know whether you're fully awake, whether you're awake or you're asleep. So sometimes it can create images, sometimes it's sound, and weird shit happens. But all it really is that yes, it can be prompted by, you know, anxiety or, you know, stress, you know, substances or stuff like that. But really, it can happen to anyone. It's just there's certain things that provoke it. So the best thing to do is to just kind of let it happen. If you can close your eyes, I know sometimes you can't, but if you can close your eyes, that does make it a bit better. And in my experience anyway, it kind of makes the experience a bit faster. So yeah, just literally accept what's happening, deep breaths. If you can close your eyes, that'd be great, and try not to overthink it too much.
Cool.
Which is really hard if you're an anxious person. But like, the more practice if you find you're a person who gets it a lot, the more practice you have of just breathing and letting it happen, the easier it will get, and the less likely you'll probably get it.
Yep. Well, maybe that'll help some people.
Hopefully.
I feel like if it was that to me, I would still just fucking panic instantly, forget everything, and just be stuck there for a wee while. But
well, that still happens to me. Yeah, I mean, it's when it happens, it always takes you by surprise, no matter how many times you've got it, because it's a weird experience.
Yeah.
So, but you just kind of have to accept what's going on and just know that it won't last forever. It will be over quicker than you know it.
So I suppose any last words before we wrap this up?
No, I think that's everything.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on. It's always good talking to you and listening to your experiences. Obviously, if you haven't already, go check out Indy on Twitch and come and join the Haunted House Discord, which Indy is a co-founder of. So you'll find lots of people just like us in there, and you can talk about your experiences as well if you didn't want to share them on here on this podcast. So thanks for joining me, appreciate it. Take care of yourself.
Take care. Bye.
Peace.
I had the second year's were a good joke the other day, but you know it's good when you just get a full class of eye rolls.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Is that a dad joke?
it's a dad joke. I was doing circle questions like area and stuff like that, and I was like, do you know about King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table? I was like, some of them are like, I've heard that, and I was like, do you know who it was that designed the Round Table? It was one of the knights. And they're like, huh? I'm like, aye, it was Circumference.
Right, thanks for stopping by in the episode. See you later, man. So fucking what were you saying before?
So you were saying about when you were younger and you used to be falling asleep and you'd feel like you were bouncing back and forth between sleep and awake. A wee bit you were saying there, and it just made me remember about something that happens to me sometimes when I'm sort of falling asleep. I think I've heard quite a few people get this, which I don't know if it's sleep paralysis related or it's to do with sleep anyway, and dreams and stuff. Quite fascinating, but it's when you're just about to fall asleep.
Yep.
And you feel like, I used to get this thing quite often where I felt like my bed was tipping.
Right.
Like it was it was like psychedelic kaleidoscope in the background. But I just felt like I could see me in my bed, and my bed was going like that slowly. So I got to about here, see the point when I was just about to slide out the bed, I'd be like, oh yeah, man. Wake up. I've heard other folk getting things similar to that, where they're like falling off of something.
Well, like one of the other people I spoke to the other day, they were saying there's a thing called hypnagogia or hypnagogia. I don't know, I can't mind how they fucking say that. But right. it's kind of it's kind of like that, and it's basically like hallucinations or something like that before you're falling asleep. So obviously, kind of like sleep paralysis is already after you've had sleep, and you've been in like fucking deep REM sleep, and then you hear paralysis. Where this is like before it, and so this is what I think I had with that, and this is what you're having with your fucking disco lights and the tip in the bed and all that, know what I mean?
Disco lights seem to be a theme with my dreams and sleep paralysis.
You're always fucking raving in your sleep, man.
I know, definitely. That was something I used to have before, and just like you said, it was always before I went to sleep or fell asleep, was when I was just about to sleep and I feel like I'd fall out of my bed and then I'd wake up. I've only did it like once every now and again, but it was quite regular when I was wee, but I've not had it since I was like 15 or 16 or something like that.
I think like what I'd found doing a bit of research and all that as well was so kids don't have sleep paralysis, or it's very very rare. They mostly just have like nightmares and the kind of stuff that we are talking about there. It's more like later teens and then like adults that will experience like sleep paralysis fully. So I don't know, maybe it's like if you've had that kind of stuff as a kid, then later you'll have sleep paralysis as an adult. You know what I mean? Don't know.
Aye, because maybe or quite a few years, because there's a few years in our group that's had it.
Yeah.
Maybe we're more susceptible to stuff like that if you've had weird dreams or weird things or hitting the goji or whatever it's called when you were younger. But my only experience with sleep paralysis, and you've heard all these stories, but I'll share them, was in 2018. So it was 2 years ago, and it was I'm a teacher, maths teacher, so it was during the summer holidays, and it happened with like the space of like 2 or 3 weeks, and it was sort of, I don't know what triggered it exactly, but I've got a bit of a theory that it was to do with our group on the WhatsApp. They were talking about sleep paralysis, and I was like, I've never experienced that, and I didn't really believe any, and I was like, nah, these are just having a nightmare or a dream or something, and then waking up. I was like, nah, I don't believe you. These are winding me up. And then with you guys talking about it a couple of days later, it happened to me, and it happened a couple of times in the space of like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that during the summer holidays, because we get 6 weeks off for work. So it must have been like July. It's been like July 2018 during the summer, and that's the last time it's happened to me. It happened those couple of weeks, and I've never experienced since then. But I'll explain the last time I felt like I broke out of it, or I broke out of some sort of holder, like curse or something, I don't know. But I felt like I got away from it and I stopped it, and it was me sort of fighting back that like stopped it from happening again. It never happened again. But so that was when it happened. But I've told you before, Neil, so these will be stories that you've heard me say a few times, but I'll go through my 3 different experiences, or it's 3.5, kind of 3.5, but the very first one, we were laughing about the disco lights, me raving in my sleep, but a couple of days after you just talked about it, I was falling asleep, or I was asleep, and felt like I'd woke up, but lying in my bed, and I felt like every time I felt simultaneously like I could see myself in my bed, but I was looking through my eyes even though I'm lying in my bed. It was so weird. I still don't know to this day if my eyes were actually open or no, or anything. I feel like I was looking through my eyes, but I was also looking at myself at the same time. It was like I had like I was watching telly on 2 screens. And it started off, it was just whispering outside my window. My window was cracked open because it was the summer, it was quite warm. So my window was open, and it was just people whispering. It was like I couldn't really tell what they were saying, but I didn't know if it was my next door neighbours or something, so I didn't know it was sleep paralysis to start with. And I was like, who's up at this time? Who's whispering outside my window? Also, it was like red, blue and green lights were flashing, like a strobe light thing, like a disco light, like we've been talking about being at a rave. Like, I had like disco lights flashing in my room, which obviously was pretty weird, but I it didn't really all come together for a while, until I was like, I'm going to get up and check who's whispering outside my window, and realised that I couldn't get up, couldn't move or anything like that, and that just panicked me, and I can remember my heart beating really, really fast. I didn't really know what to do, and I was like heart beating and stuff, but then my brain must have been kicking into gear and thinking about things, and I was like, is this sleep paralysis? Is this what they've been talking about? And it was all this stuff was happening at the same time. I can just remember my heart beating really, really fast. And that's all that really happened the first time, was people whispering. I could hear them outside my window. I was lying on my back, facing up at the ceiling. Couldn't move. I'm still not 100% sure if I was really eyes open or eyes shut, or if I was there or I wasn't there, or what was happening. And then eventually I was like trying to calm myself down and I was like, just breathe, I was trying to just like, there's no point in getting myself all hyped up. I can't go anywhere, I can't do anything, trying to calm myself down. And the next thing I was just awake. Looking at my room like, what the actual, like, So, and then obviously that was about an hour or something. I was terrified to go back to sleep. So, I didn't really get much of sleep of that. But eventually I sort of calmed myself down because it wasn't too bad the first time. I was like, calm myself down and got back to sleep for a while. And then obviously I messaged all you guys in the group and that, and I was like, no danger. I've just experienced this last night. And you're like, nah, you're at it. I was like, I like went through and explained it. You were like, aye, you've had it as well.
Right. It's mad because it's like you've had like one every like there's sort of like three main types. Like the sleep paralysis. So it's like incubus one is like the sort of the pressure on your chest and all like that. Like you feel like somebody's maybe pushing on you or choking you out or something. Then there's like the intruder one, which is somebody we'll talk about later on near the end. And then the vestibular motor hallucinations, which is like that thing where you're out of your body, but you're kind of like it's like hallucination proper things. So like you've seen like the discoids and you hear people whispering and stuff, and so like other people have like said, like other people have thought they've been like abducted by aliens and stuff, but really it's just been they've been having sleep paralysis. They're hearing folk talking and all that. They're fucking out of their body or whatever, and then because they're a wee bit mental, they think they're being abducted by aliens or something. But obviously you're a smart man, you know that it was just a wild experience. So
trying to rationalise it, but it was pretty weird. But I obviously just knew it was something to do with my brain was hyperactive or stuff was going on. But I think at the same time, I'd had a big breakup and stuff that year, only a couple of months before that, and it was quite a few things on my mind and stuff at the time, and then I was off my work, so it was like my mind was in hyperdrive with just life, but I wasn't doing anything. I was off on holiday, so I didn't really have everybody working and stuff. I had nothing really to do during the day, and I wasn't really relaxing right, I don't think. So I think it was something to do with my brain being trying to be busy, but
it can happen because of drinking too much alcohol and being sleep deprived. And I'm sure you were having a one or two wee wines or beers as well. So
I mean, I still do that to this day, but I think I was maybe a wee bit more than usual back then, especially when I was off
summer holidays, man.
So drinking a lot, sleep deprived, staying up dead late and stuff, overthinking about things and all that stuff. So quite a few things, because there's somebody that I work with, another teacher at the school, that says her son, a wee monster plug there, her son has had sleep paralysis. But she didn't go too much in depth with it, but she says he was a bit worried and he had it. And he had it a few times, and it was during the summer holidays as well. And she went to the doctor and asked about it, and they said quite often it is if you're busy working or at school, and then you get the time off, your brain's like, I've got nothing to do.
Yep.
So I've got nothing to do, so it just starts having a giggle when you're sleeping. But I'll go into the second time, and it gets progressively, for me, it was progressively more scary, and that's why I was like, no, this is getting worse. I don't want this to keep happening. But I didn't think too much of it the first time I sort of go over it, and then it was only a couple of days later it happened the second time. But I think I might have been thinking about it, and I also triggered something. I actually manifested something by myself, and it was my fault, I think. Because I don't know if you'll remember, but I don't know if everybody listening to this will remember the sort of hoax thing, the Japanese statue mask thing, Momo. But that was the big thing, summer 2018 as well. It was on the internet, and that thing was terrifying, and I kept watching creepypastas and videos on YouTube about Momo, and folk try to say she's real, and she's got a WhatsApp, and there was a WhatsApp thing, and she's got to message you and do this and that, the next thing, and I'm like, right, watching loads of YouTube videos in my bed, a couple of days after sleep paralysis, and then went to sleep, and it happened again, and you probably guess who visited me that night.
That's just terrifying right away. Never mind like being paralysed. Just seeing that fucking face there would be fucking enough for me to be like, no, fuck this. You jump out that window.
I can still that facing Momo is still ingrained in my mind, and I even remember last year when we had the school disco at the school I work at, and somebody actually had a Momo mask, and it just about put me into Vietnam flashbacks.
No chance, man. Fuck that.
But so this time it was, if I remember right, it started with some whispering. It was just started. It was like every time it added a bit onto it, so it was like the whispering, the disco lights. The disco lights was like my cue that I knew it was happening. So I saw the disco lights, and the second time I think it was still too new an experience. I was like, that. Here we go, strap in. So the disco lights started, some of the whispering stuff, and then the only new thing, the extra part this time was I'd been watching those videos before I went to sleep. So the part where this happened was through my eyes, so it was like I could, although I was paralysed to the bed, it was like I could tilt my head forward and look down at the bottom of my bed, and that Momo face just slowly started rising to the bottom of my bed.
Not a chance, man. That's brutal, man. I don't know how you managed to fucking deal with that. I would have been great, and I probably would have phoned you, like woke up and phoned you and be like, I can't sleep here anymore. I'm coming to stay with you.
I never really slept much the rest of that night, and I'm usually a good sleeper and I sleep right through, but if I remember right, every single time I did eventually get some sort of sleep or fall back to sleep, but if you look at my phone or whatever and then eventually fall asleep trying not to think about it. But at that second time, that was where I was like, nah, I'm not playing this game anymore. I don't like this. But her face came up, but I don't think I think I only saw her face because obviously the mask thing was only face really, or like she had big arms or whatever. So I think I just saw like heaving arms coming up, and then I managed to. I don't remember calming myself down, so I don't know if it was just one of the jerk awake ones, like you've died in a dream or something, you just got jerk awake. I don't remember that time. I just remember her face, and then the next thing I was awake. So I don't know if I was just that terrified I woke myself up. But that was the second time. And I'm sure those happened within a couple of days for each other, but then it was like a full week or something before the third time happened. And I know you've been looking up some of this stuff, but this was another totally different experience the third time. Well, not totally different, it started the same, and the disco lights, the third time it happened, the lights started, and I knew then, I was like, here it's happening. So I think my brain was starting to trigger like, oh no, I'm going into this to try and stop it, but I didn't really know how to then, so I ended up sleeping right into it. And there was still the disco lights, but the third time there was no whispering, there was no noise whatsoever. It was just like a silent movie, just silent. There was nothing. But there was red, green, and blue disco lights everywhere. And this one was me looking at the ceiling. No, it was me lying on my belly. Mm-hmm. This was like a triple vision. This is going to sound mental, but it was like I was lying on my belly, but I could look as if I was lying on my back. Like I knew I was lying on my belly, but at parts I was lying on my back looking forward.
You were aware?
So I was aware that I could look forward, but I was lying on my belly. But also now and again out of body, looking at myself lying in the bed, like horrified what is happening to my body. My body's there in the bed, what is happening here? Couldn't move, obviously that's the point of sleep paralysis. But in my room was just a really tall guy in like a trench coat with no face. I couldn't see his face, or if it was there, it was like no facial features or anything. I don't know, I can't even remember. I don't think I could see the face under the hat. It had a black fedora type hat on. He was just really tall, black hat, no noise or nothing, no grunts, no noises, no nothing coming from him, just silence. But he just started coming towards me, and then I was really, really aware that I was lying on my belly, facing into my pillow, and he lifted one of his hands and put his hand in the back of my head, and not forcefully, but just slowly started to like like go forward, like reach forward, as if he was starting to just push me further and further into my pillow. And that was when I was like panic, heart going really, really fast. And then I don't know if he just stopped. I don't know if he just stopped putting me in my pillow or whatever it was, or I woke myself up or what it was, or I then switched to I need to calm down here to stop this, and like started trying to do my breathing and like just calm down. It's just like try to talk to myself and stuff like that, and then woke up here. And that one was terrifying. I'm sure I remember messaging you guys about that and telling you that story, and you were like, "Get out of there, your house is haunted."
Aye, that's honestly mad. Like, this is like the most exciting one for me, I think, because I didn't like. Also, like you had it. Once we had spoke about it, I kinda had it, but mine wasn't as bad as like anybody else's. Mine was like fucking like shit compared to everybody else's one, and it didn't happen again. But it wasn't until like what 2 years later, because it wasn't until we were doing the intro video for this fucking podcast that I told you about other people that have seen and heard the Black Cat Man, or like that big tall man. Know what I mean? And I let you listen to like that podcast episode, which was on the last podcast on the left. You'll not be able to read that. It's fucking obviously pure goth fucking font,
I can see the word left, but I can't see much to the
But aye, so they did an episode where basically, just on the kind of side note, they had mentioned Black Hat Man, and then they ended up getting like hundreds of emails for fucking all these people around the world. And when he was talking about it, I was like, I'm sure Ryan had a fucking very similar experience to that. And so I listened to it, and it was like, some of it was a bit far-fetched, like some of it was like obviously people have different experiences and that, so it's a bit more wild. But that happened. I'm pretty sure I went home and then started streaming as well, and I was talking about that experience, and then people in my fucking stream chat were like, I've had sleep paralysis and I've seen that guy as well. And I was like, what the fuck, man? This is actually people that I know that have seen this same thing. So I did an interview with somebody else, and they spoke about their one, and their one is pretty similar to yours, by the way, except for they were lying on their back, and he like just came up to them and like put his hand like over their face or like their neck and started like strangling them, sort of thing, and then they managed to get out of it just at that moment. So like theirs is like, but theirs was like, they described it like the same as you and all that as well. So
it's like in detail, like slowly
like,
moving and no face, and
I like couldn't see it, just like tall figure, like all black, can barely see the face or can't he see the face, big hat on, approaches the bed and then tries to like strangle or smother you or something. That's just like it's wild, man.
That's mental. Just the only thing I don't you get nervous about is talking about it too much in case it goes and happens again. I don't want to do that again. Which is why I can't remember if I might have told you. I probably told you this as well. But the fourth time, and I don't want to even guess what could have happened the fourth time. But when I say 3.5, it's because I was falling asleep maybe a couple of days to a week later. And every night going to my bed after the Black Hat Man, I was like, no, this can't happen again. I was like quite scared actually for a week or so going to my bed, try to go to sleep. And it was a couple of days later or whatever, and I felt like it was happening again. And my cue was, I just started seeing the disco lights, and like my eyes are in my brain. The disco lights had just started, and I was like, nope, no happening. And like pure forcefully jerked myself back awake, and I was like, nah, and I lay there for like half an hour or something before I let myself try and go back to sleep. And I just really remember me like being like, this isn't happening, like fighting back against it, like nah, and like pulled myself out of it. So I don't know if that is what stopped it happening, because it's never happened since.
I think it's one of the things. It's hard because it's like once you start to have like nightmares or any kind of like bad experiences like that, if you just go back to sleep, you somehow just end up straight back in it again. So you kind of have to like keep yourself awake and all like that. Yeah.
I know, that's most of the time it'd be half an hour, maybe. But I don't think it'd be more than that. I think half an hour, because you're lying in your bed and even though you're a wee bit, like, once you start calming down, you start falling asleep again. But it was never straight away, so I never experienced going straight back into it, or that like I have like with dreams.
I had a dream last night where I was being chased around the house with Eddie Strongman for England. What's his name again? Eddie Hall. He's like Britain's strongest man. I just had a dream where, but it was like the height of the mountain from Game of Thrones, but it was like Eddie Hall's face and stuff, and he would just chase me around this fucking house, and that was my fucking dream, man. I was like, what the fuck's going on in my head, man?
Was he going to pick you up like one of the wee globes and like chuck you?
It was weird because it was like he was chasing me around, and I ran into this room, and I was like, Ken, what? I can't do nothing. He's gonna fucking get me and just kill me. And then he stopped right in front of me, and it was like he was holding a camera. He's like, no, come on, you need to do bit like other stuff than that. And then I realised we were shooting a horror film together where it was him chasing me. That was the horror film. So I was like, right, okay. And then like we just started there again. We started chasing me around this fucking house, this big giant strong man, and I'm like fucking tiny wee guy getting chased, man. It was stupid as fuck.
I mean, that's probably scary. If you saw him running at you, you would run away.
Aye, I was terrified until I realised that we were making a fucking horror film. I was like, oh, this is weird. And then I woke up and I'm like, what the fuck? Why am I dreaming about these things?
I know,
ever since I've started interviewing these people for this time, my dreams have just been fucking totally wild, man.
That's the thing. Sometimes you think you're thinking about one thing and I might be my dreams will be focused on this, and then you just surprise yourself and you dream about the most random thing.
Aye.
I know this is going to sound sad, but see, because all I've been doing is working, playing games, and sleeping now. And seeing like my girlfriend and that's all I've been doing pretty much. And so I had dreams at the weekend. On the one night I dreamt mad stuff, like I couldn't get to my class on time and everybody was raging. I was in trouble with my boss and that because I couldn't get to my class. I was like stuck in traffic and all that, and I had a class to teach and I couldn't get to it. And then I was dreaming stuff about the PS5 because I've not got a pre-order and all that. Like there was no PS5 left, and no PS5s left and stuff like that, and like dreaming about it as well.
That is a fucking nightmare, sir. That is a nightmare.
So I must have been looking stuff up about it or something before I went to sleep. I don't know, but and it's like my most mundane dreams. But then sometimes your brain will just go to the darkest recesses, and it'll just be like, "What was that?"
I hear dreams about being late for work all the time, like at least twice a week. I dream that I've slept in for work, man, and I wake up and it's not even like the next day. It's like 11 o'clock at night the same day. I'm like, I've still got a fucking full day to sleep here. What the fuck's going on, man?
I don't quite do that, but I have woke up at like 2, 3 in the morning. I'm like, oh, I'm late. Oh no, I'm late. I'm late. Oh. But so dreams, sleep, and everything. Your brain does some mad stuff.
But
so that's pretty much my experiences, and I don't know if I really mentioned too much about it. It was like every time it happened, obviously stuff around about me was getting weirder. So I noticed that I couldn't move when I was actually in my body and I was lying in the bed at points. I couldn't move, but every time because it got weirder, it was less about the no moving and it was more about what is happening around about me. So the very first time was the one that was like pretty weird, was because I can remember actually like move your arm, like get up to this window, move your arm up first, and then the rest of you will come with your arm. No, arm wouldn't move. Like try and slide a leg out of the bed. No, my leg's not moving, my arm's not moving. It was like I don't think I really talked about that, but the actual paralysis. But yeah, it was mostly the first time I noticed that, and I tried to move and stuff. The other 2 times I just forgot about me being stuck to the bed, and I was just in full panic mode. There's demons in my room. But Aye, so it's happened those few times, and I hope it never happens again. On one hand, I'm quite curious, and I never regret anything that happens because I'm like, I've had an experience, but no, I've had enough.
I think you had like quite a few all in the one go, and like that's. I think it was just that was a fucking mental week to have, you know what I mean? So I think you've had a fucking fair share, man. Can I just say about my experience here when this call with you, because then it saves me doing it on a separate recording and then having to edit that. So I'll just tell you. I kind of like I've spoke about things in the past with you, but like, so mine didn't happen till after you had told us about your one, and
I thought you'd had it before I had it. No,
I think I had sort of bad nightmares, and for it was that until you told me about your ones, and I was like, no, I've not had sleep paralysis then. I've just had really bad fucking dreams. But the thing for me was, I can remember you always saying that you would always like sleep on your front or your side sort of thing, and when you had the black cat one, you were sleeping like you were on your belly, and so I never slept on my belly at all. Like I've always slept either on my side or my back, and that night I just so happened to fall asleep on my belly, and that is when I had my experience. So it was like, for me, it was like my brain woke up, but my body didn't, and I was stuck to the bed, belly down, and so that was kind of a panic straight away, because I was like, instantly I knew something wasn't right, because I never fall asleep on my belly, and you had just told us about you being stuck face down and this guy there, and so but I remember it being like, being in there in my room, and I could hear like the loudest, like just fucking thunderous footsteps like coming through my hallway and then into my room, and it was honestly like if you were watching a film and it was just like a demon or something that is walking through, and it's one of the things where it's like you don't see it but you can hear the fucking loud footsteps coming. And I was just sitting there, I was like looked on my belly, like in this bed, couldn't move, like fucking terrified. And I got all the way around to my bed, and then it stopped right next to my bed. And then it was like silence for a wee bit, and I was shiting myself. I was like, what the fuck's going on? And then all I could hear was like sort of breathing right in my ear. And then I managed to start moving, and I got out of it, like at that point. But like, to me, like, after listening to your thing about the Black Cat Man and some other people's story about it now, it's kind of like, what if that was my experience of the Black Cat Man, but I just managed to get out of it before he fucking grabbed me, you know what I mean? Because it was just like this big fucking, I knew it was like some tall or big thing walking towards me, come right next to me. I felt like I could hear them or feel them right next to me, and then I managed to get a wee movement in, and that was me. I broke out it.
Was the footsteps fast or were they slow?
No, slow, like real slow, like just fucking coming through like one by one. It was like
Aye, because when you said thunderous footsteps, I was imagining fast, and I was like, I won't be the Black Cat Man because he's slow. He's a slow, but he's.
No, because it's only in my house. Like you ken my house, but nobody else obviously watching this will know. It's only like a wee corridor at the top of the stairs, and then it's my bedroom. So it was just him slowly walking through that hallway into my bedroom. It only took him like a few steps in the hallway, and then maybe 5 or 6 in the room. But it was like so. But each one was just like as if somebody was fucking slamming on the ground every time, man.
It was just your mum wondering why you were greeting in your bed.
Wake up! What's going on? He's trying to get me, mum.
That was actually quite chilling. Like, see, when I just started talking and I was just listening to you telling your story. I don't know if that was the same I was talking, but it's quite scary, quite chilling when somebody's just telling you a story like that. I was hooked there. I was like,
how do you think I feel? I've been fucking interviewing a bunch of people and having to listen to this and then got to sleep after it.
Aye. Oh well. So it was just that one time for you?
That was it. Like, apart from the other stuff that happened with when I was younger, it happened again after interviewing people. Fucking the past couple of nights, it started again with that black sort of being in this absolute void, and it just like pounding in and outside my face, and it's weird, man. Because there's obviously nothing there, it's just darkness, but it's as if it's got shape, and it's like I'm falling into this mad fucking trance thing, man. It's so weird.
So I've got two theories then, which I've sort of mentioned a wee bit, but just for you telling me your experience here as well. But one, I'm wondering if, and I've told you my theory before, I wonder if sleep paralysis, and it might just be anybody that's listening to this, you might be having sleep paralysis tonight because of this, but once you've listened to people or talk about sleep paralysis or you've discussed it, it seems to be a chain effect that happened to somebody and then it happened to me and then it's happened to you.
Yep.
It's like a chain effect. When you think about it or talk about it, then it's in your brain and then it ends up happening to you. So, sorry guys.
Aye, sorry if you have an experience tonight after watching this. Oh, God help you, man.
So let us know anybody that has some sleep paralysis now if they've never had it before after watching this.
Aye.
And the other theory that the way you explained that story there, and the way you said like you were lying on your belly and you like managed to move and you done that. I wonder if you came out of it the first time more combative than I did the first couple of times, and that's maybe you done your breaking out thing the first time.
Aye.
Yeah,
Aye, so you think I've broke out of it, and that's me totally out of it in that one go?
I think you've had the one experience and went, nope, I'm out.
Aye, fuck that shit, I'm out.
Aye, I think that's a theory that sounding like you burst out of it quickly the first time, whereas I think my first two times was my heart beating fast and I was trying to rationalise in my brain and calm myself down and breathe.
Aye.
And I maybe slowly came out of it the first two times. Whereas the third time I felt like I burst out of it against Black Hat Man a wee bit. And then with the disco lights the fourth time was when I was like, nah, not again.
Aye.
So I feel like I burst out of them. So I feel like there could be a theory where you talk about it or think about it and it makes it happen. And if you fight back, then it breaks out of you.
Well, I've been trying to fucking get back into it, man, ever since that night, and it's never happened again, man. I stick my belly all the time now just to try and get myself into it. But no. I wake up with a dead arm sometimes, but that's about it.
But aye, so it's interesting. I like us talking about it and I like hearing people talk about it, but I don't think I could sit and watch YouTube videos of that because I just freak myself out.
Aye, no, I'm not into that shit anymore, man. Not a chance.
No, I could do that. The furthest I could go was that Mara film, the one about sleep paralysis. I quite enjoyed that, but even that brought back some like. I was like that. Bit scary.
It's weird. It's just scary because it's you're most vulnerable where you literally can't move, and it's like.
I know, and you get taught when you read that that's the impenetrable fortress. Just hide under the covers, and you're all right.
Aye. Then you become an adult, and it's all lies, and you're fucking getting chased with demons, man. Know what I mean?
I know. Well, one of my favourite memes ever was probably about 2018 or around about that time, and I'm sure it was something like day 300 or day 600 and something, maybe being single. My sleep paralysis demon is looking pretty good right about now.
That's class.
So, we can have a laugh, eh?
Alright, that's it, man. As long as you can laugh about it, I think you'll be alright. I think if you get yourself stuck in it, like if you just keep thinking, oh, I don't want this to happen to me, it is going to keep happening to you. Because you'll just be like scared of it, know what I mean?
I was like that. I was like in a bit of a loop, and then for that week or two that it happened, I was like, no the night, please, no the night, like thinking about it, and then it kept happening. So, and then I feel like I just go to sleep and don't really think about it, but you'll be getting a phone call tonight if I regress.
Imagine if we both had it the night. We phoned each other in the morning at the same time. I just fucking had it, we did. Holy shit. We'll need to fucking record this again and do a whole new fucking segment on our new.
Oh, we're back.
Fuck, man. This is it's been cool. I'm glad that I got you on it to do it again, man. To be honest, we've actually talked for a fair bit. I thought it was only going to be like 10-15 minutes, but it's lasted a wee bit longer, so I'll probably just keep all of this in there.
We're just in podcast mode where you just keep going and going and going.
Well, Ryan, thanks again for joining me. I was thinking about this the other day, actually. See, even if you're not on one of the podcast episodes, I'm going to find pictures of you and just hide them in the video somewhere every time that you're not in it, so that you can actually be always in the episodes. And if it ever gets like big and famous, it'll be like a Wikipedia and it'll be like, just spot the Ryan on every episode.
That'd be good.
Aye. But I appreciate you coming on again, man. It's been a good this interview turned out much better than I thought it was going to be. I fairly enjoyed this one.
Aye. No, I enjoyed it. I have even though it just, well, you've got your YouTube channel you're starting and you put it on your Twitch and stuff, and I know it's no that big of that, but I really enjoy doing this, and it's such a laugh. Although it's different, it's like we talk about stuff like this normally, but we have a topic and we're just talking about the same thing for a while, and we just end up trying to be a wee bit funny, but we're not that funny, and we just wind each other up and make each other laugh. So it's just hilarious.
Aye.
So, thanks for having me back on it as well, and even if I have wee cameos of that from time to time, or I'm on every couple of episodes, I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, just look out for your wee face like right up here sometimes, or just fucking there, down in the corners, that poking out of the window and stuff, man.
I don't know if it seems bad or not, but I'm looking forward to like other episodes that you have that you've told me, some of the ones you might have got planned maybe and stuff. And if I'm not part of it and I don't see it in advance, and then it's like a brand new one for me to see it live.
Aye.
So I look forward to that as well. So I don't mind not being in it all of them as well. And it means you don't need to wait on me finishing all my marking or getting free for work or whatever. And you can just crack on and get stuff sorted. But I know that was good. Thanks for having me on talking about my sleep paralysis. And I'm coming back to get you if it happens again.
I know. Keep a wee phone call tomorrow and let me know if it happens, man.
I'll let you know. I'll message you.
Right, man. Well, I'll see you another time soon.
Right. Bye.
Peace.